Cappadocia, the land of well-bred horses. Cappadocia, the mad composition of nature. How Cappadocia was formed is interesting. The Erciyes and Hasan volcanoes and others in the region erupted about 10 million years ago, spewing the necessary material into the region. Such elements of nature as floods, rivers and winds ate away at the excesses there, bringing into existence an exquisite work. Cappadocia is not a complete single picture, and the different formations in it are simply the details of this masterpiece. Hasn't the reference to these formations as fairy chimneys been proof of the widely enjoyed view that Cappadocia is part of a different planet, as has been reaffirmed by the statement of a traveler that one may well believe that if it resembles nowhere in the world, it doesn't belong with the world. As you go into rocky Cappadocia, the traces of culture send you back to our world again. You see men in 1,000 identities. The oldest ever trace of life found in the Civelek cave goes back 8,000 years. The traces of the Assyrians, Hittites, Byzantines, Seljuks and Ottomans give full play to the perception of modern men, offering an assortment of ancient cultures to trigger his imagination. The Assyrian writings left 4,000 years ago and known as Cappadocian tablets indicate that they were engaged in trade. Trade occupied the foreground of the Hittite culture as well. The cylindrical stamps and seals used by merchants found in the excavations in the Hittite settlements revealed that Cappadocia had established markets, which were based even in those days on such concepts as registration and guarantee. Those markets still retain their traditional function today. When strolling on a Saturday through the marketplace which engulfs downtown Ürgüp, try to remember that one end of the market goes as far as the Assyrian colonial period. The triangle of Ürgüp, Göreme and Üçhisar has always been an important settlement because of its proximity to Kayseri, the capital of ancient Cappadocia. The years of peace and security also had a salutary impact on the town life. And just as the geological structure of the region caused the emergence of rock-hewn dwellings peculiar to the region, so they lent their character to the architecture of the town. As a result, a new, relaxing formation, a site for sore eyes, so to speak, in complete harmony with nature, came into existence. When you leave Ürgüp and make for the hills of Cappadocia, you see the secluded life of early Christians of the Roman period. Their desire to escape persecution and protect their identity culminated in the rock-hewn churches, monasteries, and 8 to 10-story underground cities. They devised a variety of traps to defend their cities and cylindrical doors with defense holes in the middle, and developed natural air conditioning for those under the ground to live. Underground settlements are known to have existed since the time of the Assyrians. New places were carved out inside the dwellings to form secret compartments as a protection against dangers. These galleries were steadily developed and enlarged in the forthcoming periods, turning into Brobdingnagian structures linked to the houses on the ground. The rock-hewn fortresses, one of the characteristic features of Cappadocia, are defense points carved out of what is known as tuff. The porous material of the volcanic ash covering the area was hardened into. These fortresses stand as the oldest apartment buildings of the world. The road cut into the porous rocks and leading to the rooms upstairs was closed with cylindrical doors when danger encroached. The early Christians in the region found shelter in the underground cities and rock-hewn fortresses against the attacks of Romans and Arabs, and later against iconoclasm, a different movement of Christianity nourished by the Byzantine Empire. Iconoclasm banned figural decorations and images on church walls. The Christians in the region maintained their worship in secret churches filled with frescoes. They carry to our day the art of iconoclasm dating from the period of fantastic churches. Cappadocia, the last bastion of the persecuted, was where those seeking shelter found the protection and compassion of a loving mother. This is why the lyrics preaching peace and love of humanity of Hünkar Hacı Bektaşi Veli, a young man who arrived in this region from Khorasan during the Selçuk period, went as far as the Balkans, gaining a hold in a vast area and igniting the fire of love among millions. The thousands who visit his külliye every year witness the overwhelming impact of his philosophy transcend all boundaries of time. The tour of Nevşehir begins with the caravanserais, which leap into sight before you enter the town. Works of art constructed by the Selçuks, caravanserais served as temporary accommodation for travelers. Catering for the needs of trade convoys in particular, caravanserais didn't charge their customers for the first 3 days of their stay, and they were well protected. Trade at the time was supported and safeguarded by the state. Caravanserais are the sign of the success in trade and social order of the Selçuks, referred to mostly as the greatest constructors of Anatolia. The functional venues of those days are today among the select examples of Selçuk art, telling the passers-by tales from old days and reminding them that they are on a historical route. The civilizations which preceded the Selçuks also used the same route, which is one of the oldest roads known in the world. One end of it goes to the Aegean and the Mediterranean, while the other extends to China and India, embracing the elegance of silk and the enticing aroma of spices. Today's downtown Nevşehir was then a small village. The Selçuks defended the area thanks to the fortress they constructed on a hill overlooking the village. This small village, called Mushkara, had to wait until the tulip period in Ottoman history to flourish and prosper. The Grand Vizier of the time, Ibrahim Pasha, was from this village, and the public works he commissioned resulted in Nevşehir going through a bright period of renovation, which laid the foundations of today's Nevşehir. The Christians of the region under Ottoman rule, which provided a climate for all religions to live together in peace, constructed new churches made of cut stone, heralding peace, as there was no longer the need for secrecy and hiding. One of Cappadocia's characteristic cultural traces in Ottoman times meet you in the valleys. A perfect footpath, these valleys also host the dovecotes of that period. Doves are believed to have been living in the valleys of Cappadocia for the past 10 centuries. As of the 18th century, regional peoples started carving huge 13-story dovecotes into the rock pinnacles and high valley sides. The folk paintings which decorate the front of the dovecotes are interesting, as they constitute the rare examples of the Turkish popular art of the time. The symbols and motifs used in these decorations have a meaning in today's culture. They generally stand for fertility, abundance, or destiny. Nowadays, various blueprints are in the offing, beginning from the Chat Valley, to make doves and pigeons return to their nesting houses and dovecotes. The foreign guests to the region say that the project spurring pigeons to return to their nesting houses will deepen Cappadocia's charm and lend full backing to this invitation project. Cappadocia is a tourist destination because it is a World Heritage Site and a natural masterpiece, as it's a place favored for its human values and man-nature relations. The intertwined cultures in the region set the stage for a fantastic stroll. Cappadocia means the land of well-bred horses. The foreign tourists' horse rides take them down the lane of memory, triggering the scenes of Cappadocia of once upon a time. You tread the road traveled by ancient caravans, and some ride camels, but all silently journeying into time immemorial. Another activity in which travelers of Cappadocia combine past and present takes place in Avanos. The finds from the 8,000-year-old Civelek cave on display at the Nevşehir Museum begin to come alive as if life has been breathed into them, and the dance performed for thousands of years between hands and soil begins anew. Sensitive fingers seek out the hidden beauty in the mud. When you sit at the workshop to give it a shot, Cappadocia dawns on you in earnest. And when you touch the soil brought from the banks of the Kızılırmak River, part of yourself assumes the ingredients, making a local what he is. As the evening wears on, there are different places to watch the sunset. The time the sun bids its daily farewell to the world is one of those rare moments one should never miss in Cappadocia. Whether in Üçhisar or Kızılçukur, the panorama is absorbing. The point where you stand to watch the arresting sunset in Cappadocia may well have been the place where the persecuted Christians watched the approach of their adversaries on horseback and rushed to retreat to their hidden dwellings in rocks. A pervasive serenity replaces the tumult and commotion of ancient days, smothering the whole area and everyone, with the sun offering a kaleidoscope of dazzling colors and impressions with a carpet it lays on the horizon. Now it's time to relax and rest. Nevşehir offers to its guests a large smorgasbord of accommodations, from five-star hotels carved out of a rock to simple boarding houses restored in the fashion of traditional Ürgüp houses. A rested period should be followed by entertainment. These special performances in many of the hotels and restaurants in Cappadocia are an opportunity to get you acquainted with the Turkish entertainment culture, besides making you feel that you are indeed on holiday. When you get up early the next morning, what about having a bird's-eye view of yesterday's sounds and sights in a balloon this time, just like the pigeons, which had once their own colonies in the region? Who knows, the first pigeons which arrived in Cappadocia may leap into sight out of the blue. Then look down at the dovecots on the valleys, and you shall hear the humming emanating from the rocks. Discovering Cappadocia by balloon is one of the important factors of the regional tourism industry, an add-on to any tour of Cappadocia, giving a further depth of fantastic dimensions. If Cappadocia had been man-made, it would be the most original and unique masterpiece of all times. Seductive, amusing, inspirational, cool, naive, romantic, impressionist, and surrealist. A chunk of land difficult to believe is part of nature is awaiting you.